My name is Manny Botswa. I'm head teacher at Tytherington School, which is a comprehensive school in Macclesfield. It's 11 to 18, and we serve the local community and our part of Macclesfield.
Excellent. And you've been working with Leadership Edge now for over a year, and I was just wondering what first attracted you to the work we do at Leadership Edge?
I think what attracted me to Leadership Edge was, firstly, we felt that it was an organisation where the values and the mission kind of chimed and resonated with us. So it felt quite organic, it felt community orientated, it felt person orientated. So, the focus very much is on developing the person, as well as, those individuals as employees. And that felt like that resonated with us, actually, that there was a sense that at the core of this, it's about developing people and people fulfilling their potential. So, when I spoke to yourself, when you sort of reached out, I kind of got the sense and know that is what you and Leadership Edge are about. So that's how it came about, really. Yeah,
absolutely. It's great to hear that as well, with that focus on the people as well as the results. It's all about personal development and the staff bringing their best self to school to support the community and the children and the rest of the staff, obviously. So what response have you had so far from the staff who have been involved in the programme?
Really positive. We initially started out, I think, with 3 on the programme, and then that's kind of doubled, and we're on a kind of programme where more and more staff over time will join the programme, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. It really has. I happen to line manage a couple of the individuals who are involved, and they talk so much about how it's developed them as people. And what's been really interesting is that other people are noticing, wow, what's happening with those individuals. Far more sort of reflective, I think, grounded, sort of balanced, but also far more kind of willing to tackle some of the issues that we find that can sometimes be really tough in any organisation, and knowing that they have the tools and the mindset and the balance to kind of approach those issues in a way that's going to lead to positive outcomes. So there's definitely been a kind of noticeable impact in terms of them as people. And as I said, other people have then sort of said, well, we'll have what they're having. So we haven't had any issue in terms of people wanting to kind of be part of the programme. So, just an increase in terms of confidence. And it's not just, as I said, in terms of how they approach their working life. It's also, perhaps more profoundly, how they approach their personal lives and what happens outside of school. Because as you said, that sense of people being able to bring their whole self and their authentic self to work, we think leads to kind of more grounded individuals who are ultimately more productive, even if you want to look at it in those terms. So definitely noticed the difference there.
It's really helpful hearing you talk in these terms, because it can be difficult sometimes to give tangible outcomes from coaching, because it is so combined, that personal and professional development. So it's great to hear those stories, and to hear that people are enthusiastic to join the programme voluntarily, because of course coaching is something that isn't done to people. It's very much an active, they're driving the process. So in terms of your school as a whole, then moving forwards, what do you anticipate the benefits and positive outcomes to be from embracing the Leadership Edge coaching programme?
I think, first and foremost, as I said, if our values and our missions around developing people, then ultimately, in terms of people's kind of well-being and their capacity to feel as though they're in control, I would expect that to increase. But as an organisation, if we're able to replicate, even a fraction of some of the things that we're initially picking up from those involved, then I would expect as an organisation that people are more reflective, people less inclined to kind of look necessarily to kind of, senior leadership, to solve issues. This sense of people being much, much more autonomous, being far more kind of resilient and willing to kind of take risks because they're sort of thinking, do you know what? We feel that the answers are within us. We feel that we can make a difference. We don't necessarily have to kind of look upwards to find the answers. So I think from a kind of productive perspective, I expect to see, more autonomous, more grounded, more highly skilled individuals as a result of that. Because, if you're going in with the mindset of sort of thinking, look, it's possible for us to kind of develop and get better, then, when people are thinking about things like engaging in CPD, for example, they're much, much more willing to do so. I also really like the idea of, the sort of organic approach, because I think that's the most powerful motivator. Ultimately, people want to get better in their jobs. People want to feel happier in their lives. People want to have stronger relationships. So when they're seeing individuals as part of this, they're thinking, I want a bit of that. Also really interested in terms of how it changes the way in which we speak to each other, the way in which we interact as a staff room, the way in which we interact with the young people, the way in which young people interact with each other. So really excited about the future and what the impact that could have in terms of other stakeholders.
Absolutely, and hearing that there's impact at a staff level and then other stakeholders, and obviously including the students, it's a real cultural shift perhaps, or certainly a cultural evolution within the school, which is amazing, isn't it? Just the way that we speak to each other and taking time out of our busy days to experience those conversations ourselves and just get back to the basics of what do good relationships look like, and how can we feel empowered to create those ourselves and create the professional life that we all seek to have, don't we? Brilliant. So if anybody, are there other head teachers or schools out there were interested in joining Leadership Edge, any words of advice for them as to how to go about doing that, or whether that would be a good idea for them, or any questions they should be asking themselves first?
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely say, find out more. I'd certainly recommend it, definitely. But, I can understand that people may be apprehensive. People might be worried about cost. People might be worried about, what does this mean in terms of challenge? Does this mean that I'm doing something wrong? I'd say the best thing to do is to make contact with yourself or one of the great practitioners that are there, and start the conversation. Also more than happy to talk to anybody about our experience. I think the point that you made about not trying to force people, I think, is really important. In terms of the things that have worked really well for us, I think initially engaging with people who were quite keen, perhaps have already shown an interest in coaching, that's been really effective, because they've tended to kind of get involved and show an openness and a willingness to kind of engage with that process. And we feel that, as I said, the most powerful motivator for people is when they see the growth in other people. So we would say, look, get in touch, find out more, start small, and have a think about what is it that you want to kind of see within your organisation. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a kind of one of these kind of key performance indicators that says X% have to be doing that or Y% have to be doing this. It's kind of, it's worth reflecting. What do you want conversations and relationships to be like in your school? What would you want the people that work in the school to say it's like? they're good starting points in terms of, you know, where coaching might fit into your school or your organisation.
Thank you so much for that. It is a really personal, reflective piece as a school leader, I think, to think about your vision and values as a school, isn't it? And then how can Leadership Edge and coaching support you to achieve that for your staff and your students and your families and the community and so on. So I'm delighted that you're having such a positive experience with it, and looking forward obviously to continue watching your journey, seeing more staff getting involved in the programme and seeing the difference that they can really make to your school and the families that they support. So thank you very much.
Not a problem at all.
Thanks for your time today.
No problem.